Here we go again. Hi everyone, it's Ayland and Roland again. I must have had a lot of fun making my BEA video because I decided to make another video. So bear with me, I'm still new at this. But it was really nice not to have to write out a blog last time. I've been getting a few questions from readers, students. I'm a former high school English teacher, so I still go back to high schools to talk about writing and reading and publishing. But I really miss being in the classroom, so it's a way to get my foot back in the door. However, the question that I seem to be getting a lot is, did I always know I wanted to be a writer? And the answer is no. I didn't even write Of Breakable Things with the intent to publish it. I had a story in my head and I just wrote and wrote and wrote until the story was out. The original version of Breakable Things was 800 pages because I didn't write it to be marketable. Writing was not something that I always knew I wanted to do. I always enjoyed it. I wrote poems when I was younger. I kept a diary growing up. But I still have a lot of my old journals and diaries, and I look back at my elaborations and exaggerations, and my brain was just way too dramatic for myself back then because I was definitely making up stories. A lot of the things that I wrote in my journal never actually happened. So I've always been good at making up stories, I guess. I really didn't have time to write when I was younger. My childhood was a little bit different than the average childhood. When people ask me where I grew up, I say I grew up in a gym. My mother is a gymnastics coach and a national judge, and my days were filled with uneven bars, balance beam, chalk, mats, sweat. So gross. I think about my childhood and I think about a smelly, sweaty warehouse because that's where I was. I began competing level 5 when I was 7, and I competed for several years until I was only doing open competitions, which is like level 10. Even if I was sick from school, I went to gymnastics, and at home I didn't have chores. I had conditioning, and when I was done with the conditioning that my mother would give me, I would do more conditioning. Sometimes I even slept on my beam and my beam mat downstairs in the living room. How crazy is that? I've always been a little bit psychotic, I guess, or over obsessive about things. So growing up, I usually completed my homework in a gym lobby while I waited for practice to start because I was there 4 or 5 days a week. And I would practice for several hours, and then I would go home and finish my homework and go to bed sometime between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and then wake up and do it all over again. I was constantly covered in chalk. I was never in one piece. I feel like I always had rips all over my hands, and there was always something taped, whether it was an ankle or a wrist or my shins, fingers, toes, feet, heels, everything. I was like a walking zombie, but gymnasts will tell you that that's typical. I've landed on my face more times than I can count, and I had no clue at the time why I kept going back for more, but I'm glad that I did because I don't think that I could have withstood 40 some odd rejections from agents when I started querying to agents for Breakable Things. I don't think that I would have had skin that was thick enough to withstand so much rejection if I hadn't known that back in the day I fell on my face 47 times before I finally landed a full twist or a double twist or a 2.5 twist. My first day of teaching high school English, I stood up in front of this classroom of kids who were not that much younger than me and thought, how am I going to do this? And I thought, if I can do a flip on a 4-inch piece of wood, I can do this. When I was in labor with my children, I went through my beam routines and my floor routines. When I moved into my dorm room in college, I was so nervous, but the second I got there, I thought, this is just like summer camp. I had gone to Woodward, Camp Woodward, every year from when I was 7 until I was 16, and being at college was exactly like being at camp, except I didn't have to wake up and work out and then have lunch and work out and then work out again. All I had to do was go to class, piece of cake. So camp prepared me for college. Practices gave me a work ethic. Competitions taught me that sometimes my friends would win, sometimes I would win, but at the end of the day, what I really remember are the memories that we made together. I've had the same gymnastics friends for over 20 years, and it's so special because a lot of people don't hang on to friends that long, and I can look at these girls and they were my childhood. Competitions in Las Vegas or Disney. We traveled all over the country, and those were the best memories of my childhood. Falling down on my head or my neck or my back or my nose or my arm taught me that I can fall down 50 times, but I might get up, and that time 51, I might finally land on my feet. So getting all of those rejections when I was querying to agents, finally I landed on my feet, and I landed a fabulous agent. Climbing the rope at the end of a 4-hour practice taught me about endurance, that you might think it's the end of the day, but there's still work to be done. So when I have to stay up until 3 in the morning, editing, re-editing, reworking, I know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the harder I work, the better I'm going to do. And I have this motto taped up in my office that says, if I work 3 times harder than everybody else, I have to succeed. So hopefully that comes true. I feel like gymnasts get what they want because they learn at an early age what it takes to get there. Gymnasts are my favorite sort of people, and maybe that's why I continue to surround myself with them year after year. I still moonlight as a part-time gymnastics instructor. In conclusion, no, I didn't grow up writing, and I didn't know I always wanted to be a writer, but the childhood that I had taught me what I needed in order to be the person and to have the profession that I wanted. So if you have other questions for me, go ahead and leave them in the comments section of this video, and I'll do a follow-up video where I give you a shout out and answer whatever questions you might have for me. And I hope everyone is having an incredible beginning to summer. And again, keep hashtagging Unbreakable Things because the giveaway is still going on. Hashtag summer reads, hashtag Unbreakable Things, and also Summer on the Short Bus, because you can win a copy of Summer on the Short Bus or a copy of Unbreakable Things. So happy summer and happy reading.